Hey YouTube, Tim here, welcome you guys back to another video. So it's been a while since I've done an update on my PS2 collection, so I decided, what the hell, I think I need to give you guys a new update on my collection of PS2 games. So, as you guys saw in my last video, I no longer have any PSP games. I sold that to a used game store, and I got credit for that, or something, I don't remember, but anyway, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown on all my games and give you a quick info. So, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, first off, we have the Simpsons Hit and Run. This is basically their version of Grand Theft Auto, which is a pretty badass game here. And we got the back of this right here. You can play as Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Apu. Homer and Bart got two levels. You can play them twice in two different levels, which is a pretty good game here. Now, as you guys can see here, it does say Deadliest Catch for Xbox 360, because the original box that this game came in was basically falling apart, so I basically used this box instead, so yeah. Alright, hold on. Alright, next up we have the Simpsons game, released in 2007, which is a pretty cool game right here. You can play as all the characters: Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie. Well, Maggie's used in the Marge levels of the game anyway, which is pretty awesome right there. This came out like a few months after the Simpsons movie came out, so there's that. And also celebrating its 20th anniversary for this year, we got the original Star Wars Battlefront. Actually, let me get this out of the way real quick. We also have Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, the main difference between both these games is that you can't play as any of the heroes in the first Battlefront game, but you can play as all the heroes in the second Battlefront game. And there's brand new maps and stuff in there, and a new campaign mode. They both have Galactic Conquest in here, where you can play as both the Rebels, the Empire, the Clones, and the Droids, so there's that. And this has two separate Battlefront 1 has two separate campaigns on here, which is the Clone Wars campaign and the Galactic Civil War campaign. So there's that. But there's actually a cheat you can use. If you go to the options in Battlefront 1, you can actually turn on heroes. So when you go into instant action, you can have the heroes in your factions fight alongside you when you take on your enemy. So the heroes for Battlefront 1 are Luke, Mace Windu, Count Dooku, and Darth Vader. So there's that. And there are a bunch of heroes in the second Battlefront game, but I'm not going to go into full detail about that. So if you want to learn more about these two games, you can go check out the YouTube channel Flandrew. He does video game comparisons, and he recently did a video game comparison for both Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2. Also, if you have a PS5, go get the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. I know a lot of people have been ripping on it, saying, oh, the online play sucks, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I like it. It's a classic. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, moving on. Alright, next we have Star Wars Bounty Hunter. This was a prequel before the events of Attack of the Clones. This took place like 10 years, like a few months after, a year or so after the events of Phantom Menace, and this took place like years before the events of Attack of the Clones. Basically, you're playing as Jango Fett, and you have to hunt down a dangerous, like, Sith assassin that Count Dooku puts a price on. I'm not going to go into full detail on the plot, but this basically sets up the events for Attack of the Clones on how Jango Fett becomes the template for the clone army, so yeah. Alright, next we have Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith video game. This, of course, will be celebrating its 20th anniversary next year, and also the movie will be celebrating its 20th anniversary. As you can see right here, I also got this from the same rental store, and on the back here, you can see the instructions on how to play the game. So you play as either as Anakin and Obi-Wan in this game, so there's that. So, yeah. Alright, next we have Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy. All I can say, instant classic funny as hell, real awesome. That's all I'm going to say about that. Next, we have Lego Batman, the video game. You play as both as Batman and Robin, or the villains like Joker, Two-Face, Penguin, Riddler, Bane, all those guys. So, there's that. Next, we have X-Men Legends. This is basically like a version of the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, which I'm going to get to in a sec. You can play as any different version of the X-Men while you fight off Magneto and his forces. So which is not a bad game. Next, we have Marvel Ultimate Alliance, where you play as all the superheroes and you fight off Doctor Doom and his forces. So, I played this game. It's not a bad game, honestly. It's real cool and it's fun for the whole family. But it was a really cool, good game. Alright, next up we have Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. Guess what this is? Civil War. Superhero Civil War. Basically, Captain America has a side of heroes, Iron Man has a side of heroes, and they both fight in a civil war against each other. So, I'm going to have to eventually get back to this game and play it. See how it is, you know? Alright, next we have Spider-Man 2, the movie, the video game, which is basically follows the events of the second Spider-Man movie, but also has a lot of subplots and all that, which with a lot of different villains. Even though the second villain in Spider-Man 2 was Dr. Octopus, but there's like other characters, villains in there, such as Black Cat, Mysterio, Rhino. But if you want to learn more about this game, go check out the YouTube channel Flandrew. He did another video game comparison of this game, so go check out his channel right there. Next we have SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs Combat Assault. This is basically a Marine game where you basically take command and move your units around to fight off bad guys and such. And you have to fight off a bunch of terrorists and all that. It's kind of like Rainbow Six, for instance, but this is the updated version there. And next we have Transformers the Game, which is based off the 2007 movie, where you have a choice to either be the Autobots or be the Decepticons, where you can follow the events of the movie as the Autobots, or you can alter the events of the movie as the Decepticons. They're both pretty good. I mean, it's not a bad game, you know? So there's that. Alright, next we have the sports area for our PS2 collection. Alright, first off, we have NBA Live 2001. This came out in the year 2000. Yeah, I know this box looks a little ripped here, but this is basically... You could still play this is what they have for the NBA roster at the time. Of course, the Lakers were basically dominating that deck. We're dominating the early 2000s. But as you can see, we got that game. It's not bad, but it can work, you know? Alright, next we have NASCAR Thunder 2002. This is a NASCAR video game right here. Now, the interesting thing about this is you can play as any of the you can actually customize your own driver. And this also has a tribute to Dale Earnhardt, who sadly passed away in the beginning of the 2001 NASCAR season. He sadly passed away at the Daytona 500. If you want to learn more about that, there are videos on YouTube. So, that's all I'm going to say about that. So, yeah. Next, we have All-Star Baseball 2003 featuring Derek Jeter. This was an early baseball game here. It was made by Acclaim Sports here. Fun thing about this one is you can actually customize create your own baseball team, like have them in like Alaska or Memphis and whatnot. But the graphics weren't bad, but it was an early game. It was like a 20-year-old game, so yeah. Next, we have ESPN NFL 2K5. This one is actually a really cool game, in my opinion, honestly. You know, because you can actually... There's a cool thing right here, is where you can... There's this one special extra they have called the Crib, where you can actually... You have your own place where you can decorate it with your own NFL team, like the Bears, the Packers, the Seahawks, any other NFL team, the Patriots and all that. But... You do earn points by playing the other other features that are in this game, but for the crib, you actually get to play against celebrities. And the celebrities they picked were David Arquette, of course, WCW, Scream, Carmel Electra, Steve-O, Jamie Kennedy, and Funkmaster Flex. And if you guys beat them, you do get points for beating these guys. And I actually remember defeating David Arquette by using the NFL All-Stars, which is not a bad game, honestly. This one's one of the best, in my opinion. I do highly recommend this game, honestly. Next, we have ESPN NHL 2K5. This came out in 2004. Sadly, this was right before the 2004-2005 NHL lockout, which, honestly, moved there. And instead of a crib for this game, they have a skybox which you can decorate, or you get all the trophies you earn while in this game with all the extra features they got here. And you can also win the Stanley Cup in this game. I actually played the playoff mode, and I actually have the Blackhawks and Rangers competing for the Stanley Cup in this game. But I am eventually have to go back to playing this game, so see how it completely goes. So, yeah. Alright, next we have WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. This was one of the early games of the SmackDown vs. Raw series, where you have a storyline for both Raw and a storyline for SmackDown. They have they got legends in here. This was around the time of the Ruthless Aggression era, so I actually also got this on my birthday a long time ago, so it's not a bad game. The controls were very hard for me at the time, but I eventually got to learn it somehow, but it was just something else, you know. But, yeah. Next, we have Madden 07. Pretty cool NFL game right here. This was one of the Madden games I got, only Madden NFL games I got for PS2, so not a bad game. Next, we have NHL 7. As you can see right there, that is an early Alexander Ovechkin, who is currently with the Washington Capitals. And I actually got this from the locally grocery store, who was selling their old video games at the time. Unfortunately, they are now called Schnucks. The controls were not that bad, honestly, but it was a hard game to play, but eventually I got to learn it early on with the other NHL games I got later on and for the PS3 and PS4 and PS5, so there's that. Next, we have 2K Sports College Hoops NCAA 2K7. This is basically a college basketball game. Not bad. You got every other team in college basketball, which is pretty cool. So, there's that. Next, we got NBA Live 2008. And I basically moved a lot of players in this game. I moved Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Yao Ming, Ron Artest, I think. I moved a lot of players who are from other teams onto the Chicago Bulls, and I basically created an all-star team, honestly. I mean, it's a really fun game, and it's just real cool. They also have like a slam dunk challenge and all that, but pretty cool game right here. Next we have NCAA Football 09. This was one of the another early college football game I got, and the only college football game I got for the PlayStation 2. Sadly, they did not make any. Sadly, they stopped making them later in their careers. So they are. I heard rumors they're actually going to revive the college football game license. So we'll see what happens there. So yeah. All right. Now here's the thing. This says 2K Sports NHL 2K9, but here's the thing. When I got this game, it didn't actually come with the actual game itself. So instead, hold on. We got NHL 09, so yeah. All right, next we have WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 featuring ECW. This would sadly be the last game to feature the ECW license. Well, Raw vs. SmackDown 2011 would, but they didn't have ECW on here because eventually by 2010, ECW became, unfortunately, NXT. So screw you, NXT. Basically, same thing like Raw vs. SmackDown. Got Road to WrestleMania, create your own superstars and all that. So, yeah. Next, we have NBA 2K11. And it features the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan. And you actually get to play as his airness himself. Oh, yeah. Become the greatest. Play as that man. The Bulls were great back in the day. Alright, next up, we have all these games. Alright, first off, we have 007 Nightfire. Of course, this was a James Bond game. They actually used Pierce Brosnan's look in this game, but he did not voice James Bond himself. They actually used a different guy to play as James Bond. Some people actually have enjoyed this game, but I've played it. It's not bad. But also go check out YouTuber Flandrew's video comparison of Nightfire as well. So go check out that video. Next we have Cartoon Network Racing. This is basically a custom racing game right here. Not bad. You can play as any of the Cartoon Network characters, and they have power-ups and all that. And you actually get to watch certain episodes of classic Cartoon Network shows if you win certain races. So I have unlocked a couple of them. So yeah, not bad. Next we have Grand Theft Auto 3. All I can say about it is bang bang, shoot 'em up, steal cars, cause havoc and all that. Yep. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Same concept, only this time it takes place in Miami and the 1980s. Yep. We have Alfa Romeo Racing Italiano. This is a classic racing game right here. This actually came in a 3-pack because the other two games were a pirate game and a classic board game, video game, where you could play as classic board games like Battleship, puzzles, checkers, chess, shoots and ladders, all those kind of games, tic-tac-toe. So, there's that. Next, we have TNA Impact Wrestling, the video game. This was the only TNA game in the TNA license. Well, there was a DS and PSP port, but basically same thing, except they put Hogan in there. But, yeah. And as of right now, the people on this cover are in the back. Kurt Angle, WWE Hall of Fame. Sting, just left AEW after his battle with the Young Bucks at Revolution. AJ Styles, in the King of the Ring tournament in WWE. Booker T, WWE Hall of Fame. Samoa Joe, AEW. Christian Cage, facing Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Title at Double or Nothing. Yeah, a lot of these guys in this game are either left TNA or with either WWE or AEW. So, yeah. Crazy Taxi! Yeah, this is the PS2 import of a classic Sega Dreamcast game. So, this was originally made for Sega Dreamcast, but later they got PS2 imported the game, and it's now a PS2 game. There were more games in the franchise, but I got this game. So, yeah. If you ever played Crazy Taxi on either this or Sega Dreamcast, let me know in the comments section down below. Basically, next we have Brothers in Arms, Road to Hill 30. This was kind of like a Rainbow Six kind of game, but according to this is based off a true story. But it's not a bad game, honestly. It's pretty good. Next we have Call of Duty 3. What can you say about Call of Duty? Pretty cool franchise, as you could say. Alright, next we have Triggerman, which is basically an assassination game. Basically, you beat up bad guys as an assassin and all that. So, yeah. Next we have Quantum of Solace 007, the movie, the video game. Basically, the video game adaptation of the 2008 film Quantum of Solace. which is pretty good. Next, we have Tony Hawk's Project 8, which is basically a Tony Hawk video game where you can skate around and try to get up to Tony Hawk's Elite 8, which is pretty good. I made a custom character with an associate of mine from back in the day, and we were trying to, like, work on him. And it's not a bad game, honestly. And last but not least, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. This is basically it was the third game in the Metal Gear Solid franchise, but it was also a prequel that takes place many years before the Metal Gear franchise. It takes place in the 60s. There is also a Nintendo 3DS import of this game, which I actually have. So go check out that game as well. So yeah, we got that. Alright, so that is my collection of PS2 video games. So if you have a favorite PS2 game, let me know in the comments section down below. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay informed. Anyway, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you, always.